And hello, Lord Thoth, Robert B. Gaff started the Time Prophet, Alan, D.B. Myers, so many fandoms all over the place. Robert B., welcome, Robert B. Welcome to Time Prophet. Welcome, everybody. Everybody, welcome. We're going to have a great talk tonight about episode 6. And we were just talking backstage that episode 6 was very different. So we'll see what Joe Malazzi has to say about episode 6 and the rest of the gang, Katie, Adega, and Kareem, and 14, who's going to join us in a little bit. So, all righty. So here we go. We're going to bring in the our very own meteorologist, the planetary meteorologist. I guess maybe we should call her the galactic meteorologist for our dark matter show. Katie Nicolau. Hello, Katie.
Hi there. I'm great. It's my birthday, so I'm so glad I'm doing this and enjoying it with all of my friends in the comments. And I couldn't ask for something better. This is perfect.
Happy birthday. I didn't know.
Thank you. You wouldn't know unless you saw the weather and saw the chaos that was happening. It's like God reacts.
I guess we'll have to sing happy birthday to you. Wow. Awesome. Wow. That is great news. And then great news. Okay. And did you do anything special today?
I got a full bottle of sparkling grape juice and shared it with my cat. Oh. It's as pathetic as it sounds. Can't really do drinking with my job because then it's just 10 a.m. and you're down in a bottle of wine. So go with the sparkling grape juice for, the image.
Can you now, really quick, can you give us a update on So Many Fandoms? Is anything?
Yes. Yeah. So the new fandom forecast, we have to retape a bit of it. We're still trying to figure it out with the whole COVID protocol thing, but it should be dropping sometime this upcoming weekend. And then we're going to try and start up live streams. The election threw a whole wrench in that, and depending on how it goes, it might still throw a wrench in it. But you know what? As soon as the schedule calms down, we will be going live and just talking about fandoms.
Wow. Now, can you do me a favor? Can you put in your channel so people there's new people. There's new people in the chat so they can sub to it.
Awesome. Can do. And thank you all for the birthday wishes.
Yeah, everybody's saying happy birthday. Everybody. Thank you for the $1 super chat, Jeff Beeler. Thank you. If there's anything you want to promote, or you have a channel or Twitter or anything, just put it, let me know and I will give you a wrench so you can put it in. Thank you, Jeff. And Jeff says, happy birthday to you, Katie.
Aw,
I think that's what he meant to put in. I think he meant to put it in the super chat. Happy birthday to you, Katie. And happy birthday, Katie, from Nalina and a whole bunch of people.
Everyone's so sweet. You all, this is why I love this community. Oh my gosh, you're all adorable.
Let me bring in the rest of the crowd. And Dr. Adega, how are you, Dr. Adega?
Hey, doing good. And happy birthday as well. I noticed that 18-year-old, you can only limit yourself to the hard stuff of sparkling grape juice. So,
they have different flavors now, so it is very bougie.
Adega, do you want to give us any updates in Adega land? Is there anything new to talk about?
For anyone who's visiting, there's not really anything new as of last week. When you're doing books, things go slow. The only thing that's different is I thought I had finished the Evolution series, the 5 books. And darn it all, my friend in England came up with a new song, and there was something in the back of my head. I've been thinking about putting it off. And that song triggered it. Boom. So if I got time, there's another one that should be out next year. We'll see.
Wow. Very exciting. Okay. And can you put in your channel too, Adega? Or do you want your link to the book, maybe?
The book's not for sale. The first one is gone. If you go to Amazon, you're going to find the scalpers because it's like double the price. Have to wait just a couple more months, and the re-release will come out. A better version, done by Mad Raptor, and it's looking really good.
And I want to bring in your counterpart from the Strangeness show you guys have.
The King.
He is here. I guess we're going to have to call him. He's the Planetary Union Barber, but I guess we're going to have to call him. We're going to have to call him the Galactic Barber. Hello, 14 Barber. How are you? Welcome.
Hello. Yeah, I'm good. Happy birthday, Katie.
Oh, thank you. There. I have your sweets in a box that's ready to mail. We're doing a candy exchange.
Mine is on the way to you right now, actually. I went up to the post office earlier, so that was nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I hope you had a good day. And hi, everyone. Buy Evolution. Don't wait. Like, ignore what Adega says. Just buy it now. Buy. And then buy the better version when it comes out, too. Buy.
Yeah. And that's BUY Evolution, not BYE Evolution. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's if it's available. All the original with the first publisher, they're gone. So you're buying off of scalpers.
Yay, scalpers.
And I want to bring in somebody from 14's neck of the woods. And she's been with us before. And her name is Corrine. And she is a huge Dark Matter fan. Hello, Corrine. Welcome again.
Hi. Hello, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful day, Katie, by the way.
Thank you. I have.
Good.
And I want to introduce, of course, Joe Malazzi. He is the executive producer of so many cool sci-fi stuff and the creator of Dark Matter. And you guys should also check out Utopia Falls, which he is a showrunner of, which I have been enjoying. So I want to welcome again our friend Joe Malazzi. Welcome,
Hello.
Joe.
And happy birthday. Happy birthday, Kate.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, everybody. And I just I want to say that just before we went on, I think I got something in my eye. So
go take care of it.
I'm blinking.
Take care of it, Joe. Take care of it.
I'm playing through. I think I'm okay now for now. But just in case I start to cry.
It was just such a good episode.
Yes.
It was so moving.
I bring myself to tears sometimes.
Okay. If you need to go take care of it, just go.
Nope, we're good.
Okay. What was let me ask ladies first. Let me ask, because I asked this before backstage. Corrine, was there something different about this episode? What was your first impression about this episode 6?
Well, on my second watch, I definitely really appreciated this episode a lot more. And also, I recently just watched season 8 episode of SG1 called Avatar. And I was like, oh, you know what? I could actually see, obviously not exactly the same, but I could see the similarities. And I think that's why I was really drawn to this episode, because, again, you could definitely see how the crew really do care for each other. It was the moment, I know it's near the end, but it was just the moment where they were like, who's going to go in? And all three of them are like, me. And it just reminded me so much of the SG1 episode. So, yeah, I really like this episode.
Awesome. Yeah. And the parallels, it's interesting that the fans notice the parallels, huh, Joe?
Yeah. Well, surprise.
Katie, what were your impressions?
I really liked the way that it travels through time and handles the not quite, living flashbacks, maybe the best way to put it. It just felt natural. And so many times in sci-fi especially, it feels so forced to just jar you out of the current timeline and take you back. This felt very natural. And so I was drawn to how well it was put together. And that just made everything else exponentially better.
Absolutely. It was well put together. And I agree with Corrine that I my third watch of this episode was very different experience for me. I really got a lot more out of it when I rewatched it. Do you want to explain why some fans might be reacting that way, Joe?
Yeah, I guess layers upon layers. I mean, I keep saying that I sat on dark matter and the idea and the arcs for so many years that when we got into that room, I pretty much knew every beat of every episode. And because I know where we're going, I'm able to sort of layer in little hints, and so you watch it the first time, and it's a fun episode. And some things go over your head, and then you watch it a second time, and then things kind of fall into place. And maybe you follow, a third time, and then I think on at that third viewing, not only do you realize whatever you may have missed, but you're able to take those little moments and say, oh, I know where this is going to head. Like, there's a scene where Five gets thrown into the airlock, and you're like, what happens after that? Well, you're going to find out what happens after that eventually. So, we're constantly setting stuff up that will pay off later on.
Yeah, you just said it. There are so many intricacies in this episode that even when I like usually I'm reviewing the episode and it's like I really had to think about this one to make sure I'm getting things in the right order for reviewing it. And let's see. Adega, any thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, actually, no, it's not similar to anything except in this regards. When I'm a huge fan of Babylon 5. In the first season, we get to know the characters. You got to like sci-fi to like the first season. Moving along, everything's great. Get to learn the personalities, understand the universe, and then along comes B4 or Babylon 4 or Babylon Squared, where all of a sudden, boom, the universe starts to explode on you, and then it's like you were hooked before, but it's like, whoa, okay, we got the door open. Now we're going to see something big. And this episode does the same thing. You're getting to know the people, like it, sit back and go, yeah, I got my popcorn, and all of a sudden, what the heck? This is awesome. And this episode did that for me. It's like I liked it. Now I really like it. I actually love this show. And like what was mentioned is the window to the characters really, really opens up. This is where, and I'm not as, it's not as common as most people, but I really, really like 4. And this episode is like going, yeah, I like him even more now. So yeah, it was huge for me.
Wow. And Fortean, what impressions? And Joe, I want to introduce you to Fortean Barber. He is he's one of our friends, and he's our personal barber who lives in the UK.
Gene, I raise my dark matter mug to you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're gonna like this. You're gonna like this a lot. So the kid that struts down, "Hey Dad, I got an F." Yeah, that's me. I actually managed to get everything mixed up, and I thought, for no particular reason, that we were doing what Bird of Prey does, which is like watch it at the same time. So yeah, honestly, I have got everything messed right up today. So that's nice.
No.
Yay me.
That's okay. It's right. Bird of Prey does it that way. That's okay.
We'll all blame Bob.
It's my bad. It's my bad. I should have.
Kick him out.
Well,
boy, how dare
They're
you?
supposed to be partners.
We are. That's why I can say that to him. He'll get back at me some way or another.
Yeah, I'll make you pick next subject.
all right. So we're gonna use Fortean's virginity of the episode in a certain way for this episode.
Oh,
Now, let's see. We'll put Fortean on the spot here, and we'll ask him who is in this cloak here. Have you been able to see the first few episodes or not?
Yeah, I've seen the first couple.
Okay. Who do you think is in this cloak right here?
I'm going to get this really wrong, but I'm going to sound like an asshole when I say this. Is it the little lady?
Very good. It is the little lady.
Yay,
Wow.
Nice.
Very good. Wow. See? You already redeemed yourself.
win. Winning.
So I wanted just to break the ice with this question to Joe. Is Yodel now? Yodel is in the cloak at the very beginning of and she's obviously embodying Thor's character. Now, is the actress playing this? Is she playing the scene all completely herself, or to what extent is she using a stunt double?
Yeah. So I mean, we do use stunt doubles for a lot of the action, but really, pretty much all of this is Jodelle. And I remember the day or before she actually shot this, she was actually at our place, and she was running through the sequence, the slash and the stab and the throw with the knife, and very excited. She was looking forward to actually showing off her stuff in the actual scene. I think she did a great job. And also John Stead, who's our stunt coordinator, did a terrific job here as well. Wow.
And you know what I just came to my mind when Corinne had been talking about Stargate before is when Yodel was in Stargate, like she was very young, but she did such a great role. Like I thought when she was in Stargate, she was really creepy.
She was, she loves the fact that people refer to her as creepy because she got her start in horror movies, and she has quite a big social media presence. I mean, relatively speaking, and people will reach out and say, "Oh, you're so cute, you're so adorable," because she does a cosplay. But when people, say, "Oh my gosh, you're so creepy," that she loves. She absolutely loves, because I mean, I think it was what was the game? Not Resident Evil. She played like the demonic child in one of these video games. Oh, Silent Hill. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So.
Wow. Any Katie, your impressions of how this episode begins? What are your, because you haven't seen Katie, just to put everybody up to date. Katie is watching this. I hope she's still watching it. Episode by episode for the first time, if she can.
I have resisted the temptation. Many people have been betting against me, but I am still holding true.
Good.
It's hard. But I love it when you have these just real quick thrown into the story moments where you think, okay, maybe I know what's going on, and then you completely don't realize that. You accept you know nothing and keep moving on from there. And I love the whole, you were thrown into it and then you go back. And a lot of times, like I mentioned before, when you mess with the timing of an episode, it can get all garbled and all mixed together. But this one went really well, and it all started with this one because you're thrown in and then you want to know how. And the entire episode I was like, wait, how? What happens after this? What happens because of this? And I really was invested in this story.
Absolutely. Joe, Sarah Jett writes, Empress Ishida scares the crap out of me. She does a fantastic job.
She does.
I agree.
Definitely.
And there was a lot of Yodel fans. Yeah, a lot of Yodel fans in the chat. Now, Corinne, what have you? Now you're. I know you're a huge Dark Matter fan. What is your impression of this of the first couple of scenes in this episode?
Well, I know when I first watched it, I was just like, wait, what's going on? Like, I love the fact that it was very like, who's this belong to? Because obviously we've been finding bits and bobs up to now. And so every time there's a new bit of information, you're like, who does this relate to? You want to know. So I loved how you kind of could see that, is this going like Thor's direction? And then obviously when Yodel's character 5, I was like, oh, okay. And then the whole like, whoa, I was like, oh, okay. It confused me at first when I first watched it. But on a second watch, I was just like, it's almost like the puzzle pieces fit together more. This is definitely an essential one to go back and watch. I mean, obviously I wouldn't suggest to go back and pick which ones to watch, but this is definitely one that when you do rewatch it, you're just like, wow, you just don't realize the significance of it until later. But yeah, it's brainy.
Yeah, and as Alan says here, Katie, you have a great binge watch ahead of you once we get through the whole thing.
Oh, I will
So-
definitely be going back and thinking, okay, I was naive at this point. What happened?
And the quick question from the Time Prophet, Joe. You talk about Utopia Falls. Was George Orwell's 1984 the inspiration to write Utopia Falls?
That's a question for the series creator. I mean, Utopia Falls is very different from anything I would ever create. I mean, it's a fun YA music-heavy show. I mean, to be honest with you, when I was first approached to showrun, I said, just no way. Just the subject matter and the fact that it was really heavily hip-hop influenced is totally not my bag. And so I told the creator, I'm not hip-hop. And he was like, no, I'm hip-hop, which he is. He's like a really big music video producer or director. You're sci-fi. I need someone with sci-fi cred to step in. And so essentially, his name is R.T. Thorne. You can find him on Twitter, and you should definitely ask him.
Yeah.
Now, is this is the net or the Amazon Prime Utopia, right?
No, this is a
No?
Hulu Utopia Falls.
Hulu.
I think there were like 3 Utopia
Yeah.
shows with the name Utopia that dropped within, I don't know, a 6-month time span. So
I was like, wait a second, what are we talking about? Because there's one that is definitely not hip hop and pop.
right.
And it's really funny when I watched the Utopia Falls, I kept getting this like Footloose vibe. I don't know if there's something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that normal?
I would think so. Yes.
Okay. So Gap is liking Utopia Falls. Yeah, and it is very different from what Joe would create. Of course, it is very different. So we go to the next scene where they're all around. We see that they're all around 5, and they're all concerned about she's having her body's having adverse reactions to she's living trauma in this experience, and this kind of Avatar type of reliving their experiences, and that's where we get the intro, and the show kind of kicks off, and it starts out 24 hours earlier, which I thought when I every time I've rewatched it, Joe, I don't know. It's there's something about this episode which is extremely intriguing to me, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know what it is.
Maybe you get a lot of answers in this episode, so in that respect, it is kind of intriguing. But in offering up the answers, you also come up with a bunch more questions as well.
I don't know if anyone else views it kind of like this, but with the series, I found in my mind, I'm building like a central hub and then drawing out arrows for each character. And as their stories progress, those arrows get longer and longer. And I'm finding I want to know more about everyone. And anytime we get any information at all, I love it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And also sometimes you've got this like mental image where you think the character's going to go. And then like a Spanish is thrown into books and you're like, whoa, I did not see that coming. So you're always constantly kind of like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Exactly. Well, I'm looking at 3 and I'm like, you're going exactly where I think you're going to go, bud. So I'm hoping I'll be pleasantly surprised. Otherwise, I will shove him out an airlock.
Joe, I did want, without getting ahead of ourselves, I did want to ask you this question. Suppose you use, because I just out of curiosity, and I think some fans have been curious about this kind of question from conversations and chats. If you use, like, to what degree are you allowed to use an image of David Hewlett in further episodes where he doesn't partake? He's just use his image. Is that?
You would normally have to pay.
Okay.
Someone for, essentially like a cameo appearance.
So
but in this case, I mean, he's like a guest star in this episode. It's even though all of his scenes over last episode and this episode were actually shot one day, even though it's a day's work, he's still paid his episodic rate.
Oh, wow.
So then if a character is no longer in the show and they do a flashback, do they get paid for that episode?
No, if it's a flashback, that's basically a piece from a previous episode. So
right, but they will get their name in the credits usually will pop up still, right? Like at the end sometimes.
Possibly.
Sorry, this is big.
Yeah, usually I think yes.
Fair enough.
And actually, let me just ask you this. It's only because we were already talking about it. My fault. But if suppose you're filming something where like somebody, like suppose we were in his apartment, in Tabor's apartment, and we saw a picture, like just an image of a picture on the wall of Tabor, that would involve him being again cast in that episode.
No, in that case, no. I mean, it's a gray zone. Well, it's not even a gray zone. Usually, if it's a picture, it's not a deal. Although I remember there was an episode of Grey's Anatomy. This is what it brings to mind, where there was a character who ended up leaving the show, and they did an episode where they featured a photo of him, and he essentially grieved the production because he felt he should be paid for his appearance. In that situation, I think there was a bit of bad blood between the production and the actor. So it was an atypical situation.
Didn't they have that in South Park as well with Chef?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, like cut up audio.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's another thing with Robin Williams as the genie from Aladdin. And they have so much unused footage, but he made it so that they cannot use it. I think it's like some sort of legal hoops or something.
He didn't want, I think, the genie to be like, what's the word? Profited, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he didn't want Disney to make money off of it.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because Disney will never release it. Can we maybe get a heist? I see like a nice 6-person heist crew, maybe?
Meet me after the show.
There we go.
Jeff Beeler says, who finds it interesting that we see memories of 4, 5, and 6 and 1, but not 2 or 3? Well, I think there's more to come on this, but
yeah, I'd assume there's a reason for that.
I will reserve judgment or comment for now.
So now we're going back to the zombie episode, and because they're talking about how the zombie ship was how they had to blow up the zombie ship, and they start to think about the fact that maybe they were set up, but like they're not really sure if Tabor had set them up. What do you guys think about this? Does anybody think that anybody besides Joe? Does anybody think that they were set up?
Yes.
Yeah. I think they explained it very well in the episode. Like, okay, either way, he would win. If we die, he wins, collects the bounty. If we get it, well then, hooray, the job's done. So he was sitting in a pretty good spot, and all of a sudden, poof.
Did you want to say something? Oh, go ahead, Kareem.
No, I just said, yeah. Because I think, yeah. I don't want to explain myself. I'm not good at that.
Go ahead, Karina. Bail out your
I just
your
thought
colleague.
it was hilarious how, like, you never really got a straight answer from him, and he was, well, the term I like to use is flapping a lot, just like, just like, no, that's nothing to do with me, whatever. So that just made me laugh.
It will sort itself out.
It's fine.
What about you, Dega?
It's probably stupid, but it's something that runs through my mind, and it comes from, thinking of the writer's standpoint because it's really simple, but still it made me think of this. And every one of you think, oh yeah, duh, no kidding. But we've seen him 2 times, and both times number 2 was the one who was up front talking, dealing, doing business on the ship. That's one thing. But if you put yourself in the show, not necessarily as the writer or the audience, because it makes complete sense. And again, this probably sounds really silly, but there's no bad reaction between the receiver of the conversation. 2 is boss. The person on the other end knows 2 is boss. Even without our memories, they still expect 2 to be boss. And to me, it was just like, well, that makes a lot of sense. It could have went where, and then again, it's simple because you wrote it and everyone expects it to be this way. But if, say, 3 was up front, the person receiving it would have had a different reaction or played him a little different. And to me, it just seemed like it blended really well. And again, like I said, it's simple. Everyone thinks no duh, but it kind of struck me for some reason. Both times, like going, yeah, that had to make that connection that way. And simple, but still. I know it's.
Do you want to make any comment on?
No, I think that's actually a really good point. I
comment
mean, it's exactly that. The fact that if it would have been 1 or 3 who would have been up front and basically giving it to Tabor, there's a very good chance possibly that he would have said, well, what does 2 think, or why am I talking to you? Let's I want to hear from 2. And the fact that he basically went one-on-one with 2 and didn't really care to hear from anyone else would suggest that she has stepped into her role quite naturally, because it was a role that she's essentially subconsciously conditioned to being in.
Yeah, like I said, it makes sense, but it was in a lot of cases, it's a real simple thing, but for some reason, I'm really impressed by it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I really just like the fact that sometimes when you get scenes like this where someone confronts someone, you can still kind of sense from the person doing the threatening, like they're still not 100% sure, they're not completely confident, but I just felt like 2 totally took control of the conversation. I know what I'm talking about, and just gave it to him. I love that.
I think this episode made me more afraid of 2. Like originally, 4 seemed really scary, and now I'm like, oh, she's just a kid, sort of thing. And now, no, 2's just like a stone cold killer.
Speaking of 2, because there was a really nice touch, and I don't know who did it, but she was talking, and her collar was here, but you could just see underneath there, and she didn't need it, but she put the bandage back on. It was just barely visible. Like, that is a cool touch. That's attention to detail that I like in these shows.
Awesome.
You have to go back and watch, but it's there because it's almost hidden. But
it's a little visual reminder.
Yep.
Ooh.
Oh wow, I didn't pick up on that. Oh wow.
Didn't even notice.
And also, just in terms of logical tracking, the rest of the crew assumes she's still healing from the bite that she picked up, presumably like a day or 2 earlier.
You have to bear in mind, Joe, that we've all been suffering from a lack of care to detail in our sci-fi lately. So we're just in awe. We are in awe with this. Alrighty. And we do see here that the crowd they start talking about the fact that they maybe they were set up, and this is so kid-like, because we've all done it when we were kids. We're like spying on what the adults are saying, and we're trying to get eavesdropping on what the adults are saying.
What? Rude. I've never done that.
You've never done that?
No.
Really? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a paragon of good behavior.
I find that very hard to believe.
We're all nodding and smiling, but we don't really mean it.
And when I did the rewatch, I could so identify with eavesdropping on the adults. So our we see that she's beginning to worry about how it's almost, when I rewatch it, I get a feeling of she's worrying about this family breaking up. Like when Two says, well, maybe we should just sell the ship. Do you guys get any feeling on that?
I just noticed he was eating again.
Did anybody get a feeling on the fact that maybe she doesn't want this family to break up, and that's why she volunteers to do this?
Yeah, I think from the start I've always thought of out of everyone, Five was always the one who was like, I really want us to stick together. Like, we need to work as a team. Like, she was always like, yeah, we can't break apart.
And I think that's going to be reinforced after this episode, because now she knows what it was like before to not have a nice family crew. You had the group that she was with, but it's like you had that once and then you lost it. You will hold on tighter and stronger again now that you have a group right in your grasp. So I imagine that it's going to just become stronger and stronger, wanting to keep the crew together. Or I could be completely wrong, because clearly I have been in the past.
After having the loss of, seeing the memory, the loss of her good friend that she brought on board the ship, and then the other friends that she was associated with, that would reinstate that desire to belong even more than what she had before. I agree with you.
No, I reckon she'll kill them all.
Jeez.
Yeah, that first flashback was not 4. It was actually 5.
Exactly.
Oh.
New Essex is doomed.
New Essex will be... No, I'm not... No, don't get me into that right now.
Sorry.
And Joe, sometimes we have a name that pops up on screen from some of the stills that I take. And
Yes.
Do you want to say anything about Ron Murphy?
Yes, the lovely and talented director Ron Murphy. I believe he directed more episodes of the show than anyone. Great guy, really smart. He started off in the business as an assistant to John Candy, comedian, actor, and just kind of worked his way up and is a terrific all-around director, but he's especially a great comedy director. He's a director of a show called Jan, starring Jan Arden and Zoe Palmer, that is airing nowish. And I want to kind of reach out to him and try to get him to join us in a future episode.
Wow,
That would be good. That would be really, really cool.
Does he have stories of John Candy? Because I love John Candy.
He has so many stories, not just John Candy, but he frankly has some of the weirdest, most out there stories I've ever heard. Just his experiences. Like, anyways, I won't give too much away, because when he becomes a guest on the show, I'm sure he will regale us all with his, unbelievable tales.
Excellent.
That's amazing, Joe. I was going to ask you: is he at all related to the Stargate family of directors?
No. I just was introduced to Ron through, I think it was episode. I guess, yeah, this was his first episode 6. He does episode 6 and 9 of season 1.
And for all of you, I think everybody in the chat knows this, or in the if you're watching the replay, but if you don't, Joe purposely did not name the episodes. Well, actually, you did name them. You named them 1, 2, 3, 4 by the number. Mm-hmm. Is there now going back? Is there any? How do you see that? How do you see the numbering of the episodes? Going back and rewatching season 1, do you still feel right?
To be honest with you, I never remember episode titles, anyways. Especially of the shows I write. I always find that especially naming the titles such a pain in the ass, which is why I left it to the fans. So I think like I said, it was appropriate in season 1, given the fact that they had no memories, that they named themselves in the numerical order in which they awaken, that the episodes would just be episodes 1 through 13. And then, of course, things change in season 2 because they begin to sort of learn more about themselves, each other, and the fact that the network made a special request for episode titles.
This image here is one of those, the one where you could just barely see the bandage on her neck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're right.
Just in case you want to go back and look, that's where you could see it. One of the spots.
Oh. I will. Yeah, you're right. It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Little
Adega.
details.
And let me just say that Joe is right. We don't always remember the episode names. And actually, I was watching my favorite Stargate episode of all time the other day, and it was written by Joe Malazzi. And everybody calls it, well, I don't know. Everybody I know calls it the Groundhog's Day episode. Where Jack is playing, playing golf at the Stargate.
Oh, I love that one.
What an
I
awesome
normally only remember
episode.
them I do tend to remember them, but I've got a weird memory when it comes to TV series. It's just weird. I freak my mum out with it.
So here we see that one is addressing what's been bugging him, and he brings it up, and she's very direct about it. You know, he's basically asking her what is up with sleeping with 3, right? I mean, he didn't say it, but you know, she understands that he wants to ask him that, so she comes out and says it, and the way she handles this, it doesn't the way she handled this say also a lot about her leadership position, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, like you said, she really doesn't pull any punches. She's very direct. She's like, okay, look, this is the way it is. This is why it happened. Is there anything else I can help you with? And then she kind of senses where why he's fishing, and I would say lets him off the hook a bit, but just kind of gives him a little something to kind of make his day, I guess.
We also do see that she does have some interest for him, right? In her comments.
Yeah, it would seem that she is saying, if the situation were different, there could probably be there could be a possibility, but so many variables.
Okay, let me just say, and Adega was going to leave us a little bit early today, so thank you, Adega, for joining us, my friend.
I wish I could stay.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
All right.
I'll see you soon. Well, Saturday.
Thank you, Adega, for joining us. All right, and Katie, any comments on? I want to see what the women feel about this. Is this how?
Oh, good.
Go ahead.
Oh, I love how it's just so direct. Like, yeah, he's a warm body and there's no strings attached. Come on. It's so simple and so direct. You would not get anyone to say that right now. But I love just the confidence that she exudes. She's like, yeah, he was there. I had the energy. We did it. We're done. It just, something about that tickled me.
What about you, Karine?
I loved it because I would say when I was in my early 20s, I was a lot more like 5. Now I'm definitely so much like her. I'm just like, spit it out, man. Fine, thank you for asking me. Yeah, this is what happened. Just straight to the point. It's like, yep, that's the way I like to be. So yeah, kudos to her for that.
Joe, let me. This is not related to this question, but it's not related to this scene. But there's a lot of writers today that say they're writing more towards the female audience. Is there any truth to that in the last few years?
I think in general, yes, just because just in general, female characters have been underrepresented, not just in sci-fi, but just across the board. So certainly we're seeing a lot more of it. In the case of Dark Matter, I like an ensemble cast, and both the men and women of Dark Matter are I think equally represented here. They're all very different. They're all flawed in certain ways, and they all get their time to shine. There are no perfect characters on this show, which I like. I like imperfect characters in the shows I watch, and I like to write for imperfect characters.
And Joe, maybe let's. I think this question has been answered at some point. Joe, Time Prophet asked, "Was 2 always going to be the leader? Did you have other ideas when you were writing the
absolutely. From the moment I came up with the concept of Dark Matter, she was always a leader."
And we definitely see that as soon as the show kicks off in episode 1.
I have to say, Dark Matter was influenced by a bunch of shows, comic books, but especially anime. And you see it in this episode, in the early episodes, the fact that in anime especially, unlike a lot of North American productions over the years, the women are front and center and strong and imperfect and just kind of real, as opposed to, we have to make this super strong female character the lead, and that's what I love about anime. So when I created the character in my head, I kind of knew what she looked like, and she looked like Melissa O'Neill, frankly, and I was thrilled that she nailed it. And also, you see the whole Force storyline is very much influenced by the swords and space subgenre of anime, like what was what's the Lelouch series? Anybody?
The what series? Sorry.
The Lelouch series.
Code Geass.
Yes, Code Geass. There you go. And just kind of there's a lot of sort of feudal Japan mixed in with spaceships and exploration and palace intrigue, and you can basically, you see a lot of it in the show.
Joe, you just reminded me, and yeah, you're absolutely, I totally agree with I'm not too much into it, but the anime, the female representation anime is very different. But you just reminded me of listening to Carrie Fisher talking about how the tension between, especially before we found out that she was Luke's sister in Star Wars, how the tension between her and the 2 gentlemen at her side kind of built up the heroine. I just wanted to say, you just reminded me of that right now when you were speaking about it.
So I think the thing that I see so much right now happening in Hollywood is they're trying to create these female characters and writing 2 females, which there's nothing wrong with that, but they screw it up so often because it almost comes off as pandering. Whereas in anime, from what I see, you just have female characters. They don't have these cliche things that they try and pack as many as they can into the character. Like, you just allow the character to develop organically. And that's the thing I think that still needs to be developed with writing for female leads, is like going like with 2. Let them have a mind of their own. Let them do things that aren't stereotypical, and they can be strong and intimate at the same time.
Yep.
And going back to how you said, Joe, about that you like to write characters that have imperfections, I really agree with that. I don't like seeing overly strong characters that seem to just do things and kind of brush it off and like, I'm super strong, I don't need anyone. I prefer to see, like, I'm just human doing what I can, the best in the situation I've been thrown to, because that is so much more relatable than, say, like a character like Superman. As much as you can love a character like Superman, being so super strong, you're just like slightly out of reach. I mean, I have to say that do you know the series, The Adventures of Lois and Clark? Now,
Yeah.
yeah, I like the spin they took on that because obviously you focus more on Clark and he felt so much more human.
Mhm.
So it's great, like you said, to have imperfections because you're like, yeah, I can see where they're coming from and why they're doing what they're doing.
And we see Five go talk to Two here, and she's talking about she is speaking about the fact that she wants to go ahead and try it, and it does feel to me, it feels like it's very to preserve her family. This is her new family. She wants to preserve it. She'll do anything. And now, did anybody? Obviously they've asked her before, and I think it was the last episode they directly asked. It directly came up. Kid, I think 3 asked her. Kid, do you remember any of this? The secret word, the password to get into the vault? And did anybody see this coming before? When you were watching it for the first time? And maybe ask that to Katie first.
I didn't see it coming, but I clearly don't pick up on things as fast as others. No, I always, from the second I saw the vault, I wanted to know what was in it, so I imagine the characters did. And so just that driving, nagging force, like, get in the vault, get in the vault, get in the vault. Like, I imagine that's kind of what's nagging at them too.
Corinne, did you see it coming?
I did, but that's because of the how you do before the show starts, you get like clips of this is what happened before, and usually with me anyway, I can kind of rapidly like, oh, we're going to focus on that because that was shown. Like when it was shown that, if it wasn't going to reflect on the episode, that's usually how my brain works anyway.
For Tian, can I ask you that question?
Sorry, I'm actually at the bit where they're all drinking and then he just shoots everyone in the head. And I was like, oh, brutal. So I've kind of forgotten what's going on. I'm being good. I'm playing catch up.
Okay.
We will forgive you.
I love it.
Yes, this is the host of Strangeness, of course. This is why he is the host of Strangeness.
Yeah.
Not the name.
But see, that just goes to show you get sucked into the show.
Yeah, honestly, that bit was ace. It started off, I was wondering what they were drinking, like in real life, because if it was me, I'd probably be drinking whiskey or something, because I'm a nuisance. And so, yeah, actually, what were they drinking in that? Or was there nothing in the cups?
No, usually there's something in the cups, and it's usually water. In the event, it's they're supposed to be drinking whiskey. It's colored water.
You ever get actors who just slip a flask onto set and just?
You really are not supposed to. And I remember hearing a story of one big name actor. This is way when I was working on Stargate, and he was supposed to drink champagne for a scene, and he said to the props guy, "Okay, I want real champagne for the scene." And the props guy was like, "Well, I'm not allowed to do that." And the actor was like, "No, I want to drink the champagne. So make sure you bring us some champagne." And the props guy was like, "I'd love to do it, but you have to clear it with a producer." And the actor was like, "Look, I'm telling you to get me champagne." And so this scene came up, and it was water, not champagne. And apparently the props guy had a props box like we would keep his stuff in. And at the end of the production, the actor left him a little present in the props box. Yes, it's the worst possible thing you can think of. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, so it wasn't a nice present.
No, it was not a nice present.
Oh, I was like,
so
that's
this
really
all
nice.
this to say that actors always like to sort of, I'm sure if they had the choice, actually have the you'd be drinking the Yamazaki 18, but.
It's all right. Take 7. All right.
Who knows the does anyone know the Back to the Future trivia about that? with the drinking.
No.
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 So you know the scene, it's in the first one, and he's in the car with his mother after the dance.
Oh,
And
I know this one.
Yeah, he gets to take a sip. He thought it was going to be water. The crew had actually put real alcohol
Vodka?
in it. Yeah, so his reaction to that was absolutely genuine. So
No way.
that was brilliant.
So great.
Yes.
Now, does anybody here see? Did anybody not think this was going in the direction of a 4 experience? Did anybody think otherwise? Once we see, go ahead, Kareen. I think you said something before. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I know what you meant. I just thought like, oh, this is episode basically where we find out mostly about, the character, but obviously then kind of woo.
Yeah. And we see here we get introduced to 4's father, the Emperor, and I thought this was very interesting because we see 4 as such a tough guy, and he is exhibiting here mercy for his opponent, and for I'm not sure if mercy is the right word, Joe. Is it the right word?
Well, you could say, yeah, it is. It is kind of mercy. He's taking it easy on his younger brother.
Now, how old is he in, like, relatively speaking, in this scene?
In this one, I think he must be about maybe 6, 7.
Wow, I way overestimated. Okay.
So yeah, I thought he was older.
13.
I thought he was older.
It's a scary 6-year-old man.
Or actually, no. Now that I think of it, no, he can't be that.
He's got to be older, I think, right?
Yeah,
a little bit older.
Yeah, a little bit older.
It's still a scary kid.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so the brother is probably 6 or 7, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. And was anybody surprised at the father's? Katie, were you surprised at the father's reaction?
Not really. Just because, in dynasties and such, you want to make sure that you have the strongest family so that they can continue on with the tradition, and you need them to be strong and have just a solid will to just break through any barriers. So just from my experience in history classes, I was like, yeah, no weaklings, none.
Hiro Kanagawa, by the way, is the actor who plays the father, and he's terrific. He's actually a Vancouver actor. Came to Toronto to do the episode, but he's just terrific in everything he does.
He was in The Tick, wasn't he?
Possibly.
I think so. Emphasis on think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was great. He was great. Karen, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
And I was just like, usually I find you either get a really, really nice father or you get a really, really horrible one. There's usually a nice in between. It's like, he's at either end of the scale. And I was like, as soon as he walked in, I was like, yep, he's a nasty one.
Exactly. And then the second train of thought is, yeah, he's nasty. Oh, he's so dead.
Yeah, it's like, I can see where this is going. This is not good.
You almost instantly just are like, I don't like you. I want you axed. 4, can you get on this, please? Chop, chop.
Pun.
Oh. Chop, chop.
Just imagine if that was the sound effect that you guys use for when 4's just slicing and dicing. You just hear chop, chop, chop. Like they have that with the people in Star Wars where they do like the vroom, vroom, vroom. Yeah.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor is like the best for watching behind the scenes where he's just like, he can't help himself, can he? It's just, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I'll totally be him, so I can't say much.
Yeah, Chris Pratt's the same as well, and every time he picks up the guns, he's like, pew, 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 pew.
They just imagine 4 running around the ship like, pew, pew, pew. That's why I don't work in television.
You do?
Joe, he goes. So she goes right to 4 after this, and to talk to. Now, I just out of curiosity, was there ever a moment where where she would not go straight to 4 after this in your mind, in the writing, or
in my mind, no, given who she is and her, I mean, she's really not the type to hide secrets really for her benefit in any case. I think she, because she experienced those memories, she's pretty sure, given the use of swords, that it was Four's memory. So she goes to him to essentially come clean. So, again, we go back to the fact that we see how 5 ends up on the ship, and you realize that she is perhaps one of the most earnest and certainly most trustworthy members of the crew.
Jeff, I don't understand the question. Doesn't 5 think 4 was 13?
He's saying that 5 assumed that 4 was 13 in the
13 years old.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. There's all these numbers. So, I thought for a second there that he was joking around and he had added up the numbers. Okay.
Moo. Nice call.
Good job, yeah.
Yep.
I'll be right back. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Too late.
Yeah, and Jeff Beeler in the comment section brings up a good point. There's that instant where he shoves 3 shoves 5 in the airlock. Yeah, and basically she says, "What about the rest of your crew? Maybe they'd object to throwing a girl out of the airlock." And 3's like, "You don't know the rest of my crew." And that's certainly a foreboding message he delivers there.
I love the delivery of it too. Just there's something about that gives you goosebumps. You're like, oh.
He's eerily casual.
Yeah, that is spot on. Exactly. It's someone who's too casual with the killing and bad stuff.
Okay.
Feel bad. I keep looking at my phone, but we're supposed to get like 7 inches of snow tonight, and I did not forecast it. So I'm like frantically texting my chief, like, "Guys, we screwed up.
Yeah. What did you forecast?
1 to 2.
1 to 2.
You're basically done what I told you the other day about that.
Exactly. No, this is just a bit of a surprise. So,
so now, all right, what do you guys think about how devious how devious his stepmother is? And Karine, what did you like? She's very planned this out all very well. Do you want to say? Is there any insights into this?
Yeah, she reminds me of the bad guy from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Because he was literally like this. Like, he just played the sides. He was very, very manipulative, but in a clever way that a lot of people didn't see it. So I totally got that vibe from her. I'm like, oh, she just knows what she's doing and she knows how to play people. And I usually find they are some of the worst bad guys because they can just get away with a lot more.
I always hate the sorry.
No, go, Kitty.
Oh no, I always hate puppet master characters. Manipulation of people is something I found in my life that I personally hate. So when I see a character that embodies it, I instantly get this emotional reaction. Like, you don't know, but you're like, I hate you. And it's always great to see shows that pull on emotions. And I think at least everyone has experienced at least one person in their life who tries to be like this, might not succeed, but tries to do it. And that instantly draws you in.
Yeah, I wanted to chuck her in a mulcher.
Is that what you do on your side of the pond when you don't like someone? Just into the mulcher. Full Fargo, just yeah.
Hey, I'm on this side of the pond. I don't know what he's on about.
Yeah.
You don't know what a mulcher is?
No, I mean, like, we don't do that here.
But we do.
Well, you do.
We're savage here. Just honestly, just don't deny it. We all know it.
No more comments from me.
John Burns, thank you for that super chat, John Burns. My nephew really thought this was the episode where 4 became more well-rounded. We understand he's quiet for various reasons, but this shows how his upbringing was, the stresses as a kid, teen.
Good point.
Mm-hmm. Spot on.
It does show a lot. I really, as Katie, we're talking about her being manipulative. We're gonna see, like, when we get more information about his half brother down the road, we will see just how manipulative she really is. Is there? I think. I mean, Joe, that it seems like there's a lot of issues here in Ford's family that have been left open ended, and I mean, just compliments to you, because I think you did a really good job.
Thanks. Thank you. I mean, like I said, it's all part of a bigger game plan, and it's all balls in the air, right? I mean, you throw a ball in the air, and at some point it's going to land again. And, this one will land again, actually sooner than later. And, I didn't remember the actress's name, but it's Meng Ling Tsui, who plays the Empress, who is deliciously devious as the Empress, and then Carl Ang as Hero, his young brother.
Wow, yeah, she was great. She was fantastic, and he was too. And I'm gonna admit, and I kind of started to say it backstage to you guys. I'm having trouble processing this episode for reviewing it, Joe, and I'm not sure. Like I am cognitively having trouble. I'm not sure it's because I'm beginning to think that it's so intricate, because we know how the story develops. It's so intricate that there's so much jam packed in this episode for people who've already seen, for people who know how its story progresses.
Yeah, it's I guess it is interesting in that respect, like you say, because I remember just watching it this weekend again with my wife Akemi, and generally just kind of being surprised by how much we do reveal and how much this episode kind of sets up, and also just structurally, it's very different in that in previous episodes there's very much beginning and middle and an end, even though there is very much beginning and a middle end to the process of 5 going into her memories. The individual little backstory arcs are all really unresolved and just kind of like float there. You're offered little kind of snapshots, but at this point, Katie, they're just snapshots, so they're kind of interesting, and they fill kind of some of the holes, but you're left kind of wanting more.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Exactly. If you want more, there's more out there, but you're restraining yourself to 1 episode a week, and you can do this, Katie.
Yeah, this episode definitely hits differently, like the first time you watch it and the second time you watch it. It's almost like you're watching a different episode, because the way you view it on the first viewing, you're processing new information. On the second viewing or the third, it's more of a like, whoa, that makes so much sense. I can see the full picture, etc., etc.
Now, Joe, was there? I would assume if there would have been a season 4, or who knows, God willing, there will be a season 4. In season 4, would we have learned more things about his father?
No, actually, all you really needed to know about his father is pretty much revealed in the episodes that air.
Okay.
Now, did anyone else full on expect 4 to actually have killed him?
Yes.
Okay.
Really?
Oh, I completely thought he was just going to go in, be like, all right, let's down this dead. It just seemed like something the character would do. So
I was actually the opposite. As soon as he was drunk and marching in there, I was just thinking, don't go in there. Don't go in there. Don't go in there. Don't do it. Why are you doing that? Stop.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Corinne. I don't think he would have done it. I think he's so devoted. Let's take Precision J's question. Joe, do you believe that the Emperor ever considered his betrayal coming and chose to push Rio hard in order to be ready to deal with what comes next?
I think the Emperor sort of may have been wary, a wary individual in general, and certainly pushed Rio hard to really forge him into a strong individual that would one day be able to step in and take his role. However, if he actually ever suspected that the Empress was plotting against him, then he would have taken the appropriate steps. So in that respect, he did not see this particular coup coming.
Now, did anybody think that did anybody think that 5 when she gets pulled out that she would go back in again? Did anybody think that she wouldn't go back in? Katie, you says no.
I don't see, now that I think about it, it's definitely she would want more information. But personally, I would have been really freaked out by the experience. So my personality is saying, no, don't ever do that again. But I think 5's more of the curiosity killed the cat kind of person, where she'll put herself in harm's way to find answers. At least that's what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think she would have gone straight for it more. Like, yeah, I would though. Right, so I guess I can resonate with that. Like, yeah, I want more. I want more. Dig. Yeah.
Corinne?
Yeah, I just think it's very suiting with her character. As we discussed before, she just wants this crew to stick together. And she's like, well, if this is what it takes, this is what it takes. So she's willing to go that extra mile to do that.
Thank you, John Burns. You can do it, Katie. I know
Hey.
throughout literature, he's talking about your saving yourself and not binging. I know throughout literature, step parents are never shown in a very good light. It is a very good performance. 4 didn't do it. Yeah.
He's not wrong. I mean,
I'm glad 4 didn't do it. What was that sound?
Oh, that's me like suppressing a laugh. Sorry.
It sounded almost like a beaver chewing on your mic for a second.
We see the beaver. We see a 5 here. Then she decides she says to 2, I want to go back in. I can handle it. And actually 4, she gives 4 something when they're a little conversation in the gym. Gym, I think it's whatever you want to call it. 4, she gives 4 something, maybe peace of mind that he didn't do it. He gives her something very important. She gives him something very important. And then he gives her something back saying, listen, you can control yourself. These are just recordings. You don't have to get emotionally involved. And so she decides she can go back in and continue. And it's interesting now she goes to her, she ends up going to her own life. And this is where we start to see where this boy came from, who they found on the ship. Mm-hmm. And Joe, I want to ask you a question here. When the boy is talking to her, he says something to her that the bad guys killed all their friends. Mm-hmm. And before I ask Joe the question, I want to ask everybody else: Did you guys believe his answer when and maybe it's not due to the actor, or it's not even due to the fact that the show doesn't want to let us know that it's not true, but something in me is saying that that's not true. What did any of you get that feeling that they're not all dead?
I think they're all
Or is
dead.
it just me?
I think they're all dead just because, I mean, you'd think assassins wouldn't be sloppy enough to leave someone alive, but I think they're all dead, which means they're probably alive. I don't know anymore.
What about you, Corinne? Do you think they're alive?
But basically, when it got to the bit where she said what she had stolen and she thought it was nothing, and it turned out to be something big, I was like, oh dear, she's finally, picked the wrong pocket, basically. So I was like, yeah, I think they're all gone, sadly.
You want to weigh in for Tian, or did you watch it too quickly?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. So I mean, I've watched the whole episode now, so yay me. But I don't know. I don't know if I just want to see it unfold, because I'm one of those people. I like to second guess everything, and normally when I engage my brain too much, I will just ruin it for myself and other people around me. So I'm gonna let it unfold because I think that's probably more fun.
Okay, Joe, am I reading too much?
In this instance, yes, you're reading too much into it.
Okay. Gotcha. I don't know. I don't know why. I just felt that way. Okay. Joe's laughing. Okay. I got to tell you, I don't know. This is maybe I'm really stressed out this week. I don't know what it is. This has been a hard episode for me to process. I don't know why. Maybe I have to psychoanalyze myself later.
Isn't it like rule 1, never psychoanalyze yourself?
Perhaps.
I see a spiral staircase going straight down.
Yeah.
So we see here. This is how she was introduced to walking around. I mean, to sneaking around in the vents in the ship. Mm-hmm. They become stowaways, and we see 1 and 3 briefly as prior to their memory wipes, as they're being loaded onto the ship, and we're trying to do this without spoilers, guys. So Joe's not going to answer what the black ships are about. But everybody wants to know what the black ships are about when they come in here for the first time.
Stay tuned.
I don't want to know. Not yet.
There we go. Not yet.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure by the end of this, I'll be like, I have a list.
Now, did anybody see? Obviously, 5 gets wrapped up. 5 gets wrapped up in this whole experience that she's having. And we do get more information on the Blink and on the Blink drive, and how it came about, and
it doesn't know what the hell you're talking about.
There's what?
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, and so we get a lot of information in this episode, and I think that let's see. So 6 is going to go back into the whole. 6 is going to go back in, and he's going to save her. Did anybody see that coming? That 6 was going to go save her?
Loved it.
Or somebody was going to go save her?
I think 6 was a natural choice, just because I see like a protective father, just like, no, she's a kid. I'm going to go help, and I'm going to be the one to do it because I'm the only one who gives a rip about her. Like, I could imagine this whole long, drawn-out speech, but instead he's just like, no, I'm going to do it. I love that so much.
Dee Dee says she saw it coming. I saw it coming.
Yeah.
And I do also want to share. Joe has been very gracious to be sharing some behind the scenes shots, and I do want to take a quick look at that as the episode winds down. Let me make sure I have it. The correct. Let's see. Are these from episode 6, Joe? The ones you shared?
They should be. If they're in the episode 6 folder, they should
Gotcha.
be.
Okay.
14, did you just refer to yourself in the third person in the
I
comments?
did.
Yeah, his YouTube channel is going to his head.
I have to admit, I'm kind of glad because I do that sometimes. Mostly when I'm kind of telling myself off.
Yeah.
I think it's a very British thing. That's probably why.
Oh yeah, I did it today. I think that was it. I was going to wash up and I splashed over everywhere, and I was just like, "What are you doing, Coco? Stop it!"
Now this is a beautiful picture, Joe.
Wow.
Yes, love
This
that.
is a picture. His name Dennis Iliak, I believe, is a photographer. He's a friend of TJ Scott, who's the director of the first 2 episodes, and then he came in and just did a remarkable work on our gallery shoot, and he provided a bunch of behind the scenes photos, and this one really stood out for me.
That could be a poster easily. Look
I
at
was
that.
actually just thinking that would make a sick poster.
Yeah.
Wow.
You find him on Instagram at DennyDen, DENNY, DENN.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, that needs to be either a poster or a shirt. Because
Dennis
that,
Iliak is his name.
Dennis
that
Iliak.
look is what I had on my face this entire week, just staring glazed over into space.
Joe, I love the way you guys did the data, like the way she assimilates data through her, in her neck as an android. I love the way you guys did that on the show. We're going to see a lot more of that.
Oh, cool.
Oh, robots scare me.
Insane.
She's an android. Technically.
Well, they still scare me.
I've always been drawn to the androids for some reason. So, like in Star Trek, I just adore Data because I just love the whole fact that he's just trying his best to fit in, and it's the same with the android. She's like just really cute for some reason because she's just like, I'm doing my best, but I'm also like not quite there. So it's I just love that aspect.
Data's a bad guy, though.
Thanks, John. And John's referring here to three is a lazy bastard. Instead of carrying stuff, he's rolling things like the episode before when he voted against. So he doesn't need help. Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much for your support, John. We appreciate that, John Burns. Thank you. And if you ever want to have us promote a web link or a channel or Twitter, whatever, let me know, John. Now, I do want to. Joe's been very gracious, and maybe he can tell us a little bit. Is this the director, Joe?
Yep, that's Ron Murphy in the middle. To our left is Ivan Bartok, who is our on-set producer. He was actually the special features producer on Stargate. He's just my longtime on-set producer. He's a guy who's actually in the room with the writers, creative. He's actually he wrote a couple of episodes of the series later seasons, and he's on set. His job is to be on set and make sure that I get what I need in the editing suite. Ron, as I said, in the middle, terrific director, great guy, full of stories. And then on our right is Lauren Bancroft Wilson, who was a production assistant on Stargate and has moved on to visual effects. And he was our visual effects supervisor for all 3 seasons of Dark Matter.
Oh, wow. And can you talk a little bit about what obligations did he exactly?
He ensures that, he'll get the script, he'll break down the visual effects, anything as simple from, a blaster fire to shields generating to all those amazing shots of the ship in FTL. And then he will go out to vendors, visual effects vendors, and tell them what we're looking for, and he'll oversee the creation of the shots, make sure that they're perfect. He'll run them by us. He will coordinate with us and the visual effects company to ensure that we get what we want, and we'll deliver them accordingly. So kudos to him, and obviously his vast network of VFX experts who created all the visual effects for the show.
Now, Ivan seems very familiar. Have we seen his face on screen at any time, Joe?
He played the part of a young cadet in, I think, season 4 of Stargate. I think he had one line.
Okay.
Outside of that, he appears on my blog occasionally. Both actually, Ivan and Lauren are in my fantasy football league.
How are you doing in your fantasy football?
I am probably out of the playoffs in one, and in second place in the other one. My Snow Monkeys, I think, are poised for an impressive run this season.
Okay, congrats. Let's see.
I swear my team has just glass bones because they're all on injury reserve.
Yeah, it's been a rough season.
Oh gosh. I'm like, Odell, come on, man. Come on.
Oh, there he is.
And the young lady in the picture is
that is Maddie. What is Maddie's last name? Maddie Huda?
Let me just say, you have a really good memory, because I don't know how you remember everybody.
This is not true. I actually have a terrible memory.
It's good where it counts.
Right. So Maddie Huda, and she is a script and continuity department. So essentially, she will sit there behind the monitor, make sure that everything tracks. If a character in 2 previous scenes, because the episode was shot out of sequence, if the character's left a scene with a red scarf, he or she should be wearing a red scarf in this scene. She'll remember, for instance, he put the cup down in the wrong place. He put, in one shot he put it down here, in the other shot he put it here. She will track all of that, and also she will time all the episodes, and let us know if we're running short on occasion. If we do run short, I end up having to write the extra scene.
So she was probably responsible for the bandage that Adega mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, really, the costume department should know when we prep an episode, we will go through all the needs of every department, from construction to wardrobe, to props, and we'll remind them she has to wear the bandage. And if she ended up on set without the bandage, then Maddie, in all probability, would have flagged it and said she needs a bandage.
Oh.
That's a job you have to have a good memory for.
Thank you, John Burns. I'm 4 for 4, 1 game out of the playoffs. I had that.
So did I.
No.
Haha.
Oh.
Thank you, John. And Joe, have you? And you can say what you want. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but has there what happens when the director makes, like, when you have a situation where the director, or let me just say this, that the cast doesn't feel comfortable with the director. What happens when a producer is?
It depends on what sort of the issue is. Usually they come talk to me as showrunner. I will go down and either have a talk with the director. If it's basically just like a disagreement about how to play a certain scene, usually Ivan, who's kind of my on-set producer, who I trust wholly, knows what I need, and he will, have the final say. If it's a bigger issue, it's rarely, has something like that come about. But if there is, then the cast can always come up and talk to me. In fact, I always had a very, open door policy, and have had, the cast come up and discuss changes if they wanted to make to the characters, to the dialogue, certain scenes. I was always, receptive to hearing them out, and if it made sense, the argument made sense, I'd be happy to change it. If however it contradicted what I needed, or essentially contradicted something I would set up down the line, I would just kind of explain to them why I needed the scene to sort of fall a certain way. But I don't recall any incidents where they kind of were at loggerheads with specific directors.
And you know, if I can permit myself the liberty of saying this as a psychologist, I think sometimes a lot of times people who a lot of times we all do. So we bring problems into our lives many ways, and I think that if I might permit myself to say this, I think that Joe's personality probably has him have less problems than a lot of other people. I think you have a very positive outlook, and I think you're very diplomatic as in your
I think I'm sympathetic. I can be empathetic. I know, and really what it comes down to is it's like a lesson I learned from Stargate, working for Brad Wright and Robert Cooper, is the fact that your production, you're there like 11, 12 hours a day, sometimes longer. You're working with these people day in and day out. It doesn't have to be unpleasant. It really doesn't. And you can take steps to avert the unpleasantness by first and foremost hiring good, professional, sane people, which doesn't always happen. But also just being able to sort of hear people out, because no one comes into work looking to cause trouble. It's usually if you can get to the source of whatever an issue is, and there will every once in a while there will be a time where someone will have an issue with something that aspect of the script or an aspect of a way something is being shot, and you just have to get to the root of the problem, like what is the issue, and either hear them out and find a way to address it. It's really not that tough.
Agreed.
Communication is key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, John. Now here we see a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Those are our guns. Just trying to.
Now,
I believe the one on the right is Two's gun. I remember. I got one of each.
Joe, I have to point this out that I don't know if this is somebody's idea of a joke, but the fact that there's two hairbrushes with the weapons, does that say anything? Or?
No, I think that was just our props master Victoria slipping those in for the photo.
And what's the axe doing?
Yeah, I mean, basically they will roll out all the weaponry.
I love that.
To me, it looks like my barbershop. I love it.
You all cut hair very different over there, don't you?
And Jack O'Neill says, "Come on, Joseph, whatever it takes, let's get the band back together again."
Yeah, I agree. Would love to.
And I assume that Jack here is talking about Stargate, or maybe he's talking about dark matter. I don't know.
Well, in both cases, I would say yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
Both cases, absolutely. And Joe, we love these behind the photos you
okay, there's
share.
Victoria. Victoria is our props person, the props
cool.
master.
Very cool. That's a cool job. Now, have you?
That's a cool job.
Go ahead, Katie.
Oh no, that's just a really cool job, because then you get to play with all the fun toys. Imagine just running down a hallway with a machete made of rubber, like.
Yes.
Now, have you worked with Victoria before, Joe?
No, we just worked with her on Dark Matter, and then when Utopia Falls got the green light, I reached out and she joined. In fact, actually, a lot of the Dark Matter crew I ended up reaching out to for Utopia Falls, like production designer Ian Brock, who actually won an award for his Utopia Falls production design with the Directors Guild of Canada. Gave him an award a couple of weeks ago. So, like I said, if I like to be loyal to my crew. If they were pleasant to work with, they put in the time, they were hardworking, then I know I can rely on them for good work and a pleasant experience. So I'll always reach out to those people again. And it's the same thing with actors as well. And you'll see Stargate actors who appear in Dark Matter, Dark Matter actors that appear on Utopia Falls. And there's Mark Ben David on the bridge, downtime between scenes. Looking very serious.
It looks like heaven's light is just shining on you.
Mm-hmm.
And even the pose kind of goes with it. Just like, yes, I am the chosen one.
And
Oh yeah, this is them running through the scene. Jodelle, very chipmunky, can I say?
Chipper.
Sitting up on the table, and there's Ron taking them through the scene.
Wow.
I would love to just have a sleepover on set.
You would be very uncomfortable. You'd be very uncomfortable, and surprising how actually small those beds are.
Really?
There's I don't know what the deal is here, but Melissa was obviously very excited. She was actually very good friends. Her and Ron ended up being very good friends. Oh, and there's all of them.
That's a good picture. That's a great picture.
Love the sass that one's giving off right there. Just got that slouch.
Did you hear, Joe, the comment about Game of Thrones having Starbucks coffee cups in their background?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, I remember an episode of Stargate Atlantis. We had a Snickers bar on an alien shuttle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had to paint it out. Visual effects had to paint it out in future episodes.
Oh no!
That's funny. Great.
Yeah, there's Jodelle going over her script, going over her lines.
That's a good picture too. All of them in there.
With all of them with their scripts. And Jodelle very relaxed. She could always she could relax in like the kind of the craziest places. Just kind of curl up into a ball or just doze off. She's like a cat in that respect.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I foresee anyone.
Now, Joe, I know you're not on set all the time, but what happens when an actor is just having an off day for whatever reason? How do you guys adapt to that situation?
What do you mean by an off day?
Well, with regards to their lines, they're just not hitting what they want to.
It happens. You just have to be patient and support them and make the best of the situation. At the end of the day, unfortunately, you're on a schedule, so it's hopefully they get it. If they don't, then editorially, you have to find a way to make it work. It's more of them hanging around.
It's nice to see that they don't just go off into their go off
this
into
is
the
what I was
corners.
talking about. So she would actually just nap in the craziest spots, and this is her curled up in her chair.
That looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does look uncomfortable as hell.
You have an on-set chiropractor by any chance?
I mean, the actors are in at like all these crazy hours, like sometimes 4 a.m., depending on what kind of makeup they have to go through. Alex Malari Jr., who plays 4, was in an hour before everyone because he's got so many tattoos that we had to cover them up. This is what sort of my, if you're an actor or an actress, consider not getting tattooed because, especially if you get a role that that really your character can't be tattooed, then depending on the level of tattoos, you're coming in pretty early. Now there's Jodelle. I mean, I mentioned the fact that Jodelle and Roger lived in the same building as Akemi and I during that first season. So she would come up and she would hang with the dogs. This is Lulu, my French bulldog, who sadly is no longer with us. But she loved Jodelle. Yes.
So cute.
Oh, puppies.
Yes.
I don't know why, but I can just imagine like 3 having a German Shepherd, or I don't know, maybe a Chihuahua, and strapping a gun to the side, like go get him, go get him. Don't know why that made me think of it, but now I want that to happen.
This is my wife Akemi. She had like super long hair, and we visited set one day, and so she posed with Bubba, and then I was like, just the tiny girl with the gun, and then I gave it to Jodelle, and we ended up taking a few pictures of Jodelle with Bubba, and I was like, I've got to write this into a scene, and so you'll see 5 wielding Bubba in a future episode. This is a classic, also anime trope, little girl with big gun.
That is.
Yeah,
that's a great picture. And if Mrs. Malazzi ever wants to weigh in on everything, I'm sure she's more than welcome.
Yeah. Now this is her. These are her photography skills, and her camera is like way better than mine.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is the set. This is the main corridor that we would dress and redress in order to make it look like so many different looks.
Wow.
You want to say hi? We're talking about you.
Oh,
That's
no.
cool.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's the other side. The looking the other way through. It's kind of a shoot off. If you turn the corner and take one step that way, you actually walk off the set onto the set was raised, and the left, I think it's 2 steps, and you're down a ramp and onto the backstage area.
Joe, if they would have let you, you could have totally turned this into an Airbnb for the fans.
I would often say to the guest stars that basically they could have the choice. They could stay at a hotel, or they could sleep in the quarters. They always chose the hotel, though. Yeah.
See, you need to find some diehard sci-fi fans and be like, all right, yeah.
Watch you do the show.
I probably would have gone into the brig and made a whole little den and everything, man.
Do you mind if I just say something?
Yeah.
This is going to sound ridiculous when I say it, as probably most things do, but I really want to give props to how safe and usable the ship actually looks inside. You look at something like Event Horizon, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You couldn't work in an environment like that, but something like that just looks good.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, again, Ian Brock, our production designer, is brilliant. And you just make the most of these, the limited space we had. So here is one of the kind of the blast doors that slide open to, I think. This was the hangar for the spacesuits in episode 3. It was also kind of the pocket for the stasis pod, one stasis pod in episode 1. And there's again Akemi modeling. Let's see.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, peeking out.
The details. I'm really impressed with the detail, Joe. Wow.
Yeah, the fact that it's kind of distressed. You can tell it's kind of the ship's been through a lot.
Wow. I'm sure everybody in the chat is loving this. Wow.
Well, there you go. We'll get to kind of the vault door maybe next episode and have a discussion of how we shot that. But that's what we call the underbelly. And this is actually my office. So whenever they would be finished with the ship designs, or usually when we're in the process of designing the ships, the various looks, they would send me copies, and I would comment on stuff, and said the Raza up on the upper left was designed by Bartol Rendelik. The space station and the various the Marauder and the various ships were designed by former Stargate production designer James Robbins. And over there in the middle, you see that kind of multicolored poster is the Japanese poster for Cowboy Bebop, which was also very much an inspiration for Dark Matter.
Wow.
Nice.
Now, Joe, and I'm sorry, we're really going over time here. Is there anything you want to say to sum up the episode, Joe?
No.
We've gone over.
No, that's it. I mean, it's like I said, I agree with you. So upon reviewing it, they're just so packed with so many insights into these characters that it answers a bunch of questions, but it also opens the door to many more questions. And hopefully we'll be answering them sooner than later.
Any final comments from any of you guys? Kitty?
I'm just still psyched for every episode.
Excellent.
I wait until the day of so that everything's fresh in my horrible memory. And Monday has become one of my favorite days of the week, which is something I wasn't expecting.
Corrine, any final comments about the episode?
Yeah, I really enjoyed rewatching it, like I said, because I'd recently seen the SG1 episode when it got to the bit where they all volunteered and then 5 had the speech. Not 5, sorry. 6 had the speech with 5 as to why to come back, and I was like, I could just totally feel the family vibes that I got with SG1, and I was like, I know why I love these shows.
Well, actually, and also that scene was the one. There were actually 2 scenes that Roger did in the audition that won him the role, and his appeal to 5 was one of those scenes, and he does a remarkable job. Just kind of like I said, a naturally warm individual, and because you sat in with us a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah.
John, thank you so much for your chats. When 6 sees himself murdering the 4 others in his memory, he doesn't know the future, his real past, yet no monologue about the last guys he shot.
Yes, well, I'm not sure what the question is, but I mean that is very much intentional. It goes to sort of the I guess the horror of the moment is the fact that there's 4 of them, and one of them comes in and he's horrified. Obviously, the younger member of the group, and 6 reacts, kills the leader. The other 2 go for their guns, so he guns them down, turns around, and the young guy is basically freaked out. He doesn't know what to do, and 6 guns him as well, just almost instinctively. So I mean, it's almost really like a perfect, I want to say like a cherry on the top of the fact that he's just killed 10,000 innocent people and then kills this guy in almost an instinctive defensive reaction. It just goes. I don't think 6 has to say anything in that moment when he sits down and it kind of all washes over him and he puts a gun to his head and presses, pulls the trigger. Those actions really sum up his mindset in that moment.
Joe, final question from Gap Stargate. How emotionally involved do you get when you're writing?
Oh, absolutely. Always very emotionally involved. I mean, I tend to run the scene over and over in my head just to get the rhythm, to get like the emotions. If like the dialogue doesn't seem, I guess, real or true, I toss it out and try again. And I mean, obviously nothing is ever perfect, but I try to get it as perfect as possible and as I guess as real as possible for characters for these far future characters on this spaceship centered show.
All right. Well, I thank you again, Joe, for a wonderful review. I apologize to everybody because I've just had a little mental block with this episode for reviewing it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just this week. I don't know what it is, but
probably this week.
It's probably this week.
Next week's is kind of a Cuckoo Bananas episode, so look forward to that.
Ooh, I like the sounds of that one.
I just remembered. Sorry.
Absolutely. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Corrine. Thank you for RTN. Thank you, Dee Myers, Gap Stargate, yes and again, John Burns. Thank you for your super chats, John Burns. Thank you, Matt Ryan, Prime Prophet, TT from everybody from all over the world. Sarah Jett, Captain Trek. They are here from all around the globe tonight. Thank you, everybody. You guys have a great night. Be safe.
And thank you, PJ.
Yeah,
thank you, PJ.
And thanks, Joe.
Thanks for watching the episode with me.